Throughout the world, every person and every family seeks security. Nations have pursued security through economic power and military strength. But can the accumulation of wealth and weaponry guarantee genuine security when half the world's people live in unbearable conditions?
If you go around the world and you see the amazing progress in technology and science, there's no doubt at all that there are resources enough. The problem is the distribution.
We are all aware that things cannot continue as they are. Yet, the decisions that shape our world seem to be made somewhere beyond our reach. Feeling powerless to affect the crises facing humanity, many do nothing. But a growing number of ordinary people are carrying out a quiet revolution.
In some situations, all that it takes is for one individual to say, this is enough. We have to stop it. We can't take it anymore. And link up with others.
It's very, very important for us to take action at the local level. Because sometimes when we think of the global problems, we get disempowered. But when we take action at the local level, we are empowered.
In drought-afflicted villages on the Indian subcontinent, under the shadow cast by decades of environmental poisoning in Eastern Europe, and in the heart of Africa, where poverty and ecological devastation go hand in hand, these individuals are having an astonishing impact. Fresh water. It's as important to our survival as the air we breathe.
Water is one of the most significant topics, no doubt. Nothing, no life is possible without water.
But freshwater resources are increasingly endangered. If present trends continue, scientists predict that 2 out of 3 people on Earth will face a water shortage by the year 2025. On the Indian subcontinent, the water crisis has already reached catastrophic proportions. 90% of India's population lives in small rural villages, dependent on agriculture, animal husbandry, and forestry for their survival.
None of those 3 things are possible without water. In fact, what I call ecological poverty, which affects a large part of our rural people in the entire developing world, is nothing but water poverty.
The village of Nimi, located in the northern province of Rajasthan, is home to about 200 households. Like most of India's nearly 1 million villages, Nimi experienced years of severe drought in the 1990s, leaving its fields barren and its people thirsty and malnourished. Nemula Bhutta remembers how difficult it was to feed her 5 children when the land would yield no crops.
Nothing would grow in the fields. Nothing at all.
India's annual monsoon rains made little difference, as the water simply ran off the parched ground. Nimi's ecological crisis had a devastating effect on the villagers, leading to increased hunger and disease. the men were forced to leave Nimi and migrate to the nearby city of Jaipur in search of work.
When people have nothing, they will all come flocking to the cities. If we don't address rural poverty, we will see more and more urban poverty.
The cycle of urban migration, followed by expanding poverty and pollution, is familiar throughout India. But the people of Nimi were able to break that pattern when they realized they were not powerless in the face of their village's water problem. The change began when 75-year-old farmer Radu Ujja brought back news from a relative's village.
I went to the village of Alwar for a wedding. There I heard a story about how they were no longer at the mercy of the drought.
Radu learned their secret was rainwater harvesting, a system of check dams that hold the monsoon rains in the village. The residents of Nimi pooled what little money they had, and with technical assistance from an Indian non-profit organization, they built their own rainwater harvesting system. 3 check dams collect rainwater runoff from surrounding hills. The water then seeps into the earth, filling Nimi's underground aquifers and numerous wells.
Whenever people come to Nimi to see what we've done, we feel really proud.
Water is pumped from the wells into the fields. Crops have become so plentiful that Nimi now exports truckloads of fruit and vegetables during harvest season. Nimi's fertile land also provides abundant grass for its cows, resulting in a 4-fold increase in milk production. The villagers have even started a dairy co-op, selling milk to nearby cities.
I used to be able to feed my children only bread and chutney, but now things are different. The difference is that now we have enough money so that our children can go to school.
When I first came here, there were only about 150 children in the school. Now there are over 300.
You can see very clearly in a village like Nimi how you begin with water wealth by doing rainwater harvesting, moving on to ecological wealth, and then finally moving on to economic wealth. How the three are so beautifully connected.
The Center for Science and Environment, a non-profit organization based in Delhi, recently sponsored a conference in Nimi. Villagers came from throughout India to witness firsthand what people can accomplish when they take the initiative in establishing their own ecological security.
The average person has an enormous role to play, and you can do this literally village by village in every part of the world. But Nimi is a great example of how within just 2 years you can make such a big difference.
Nimi's hope-filled message has only just begun to spread. The large majority of India's villages have yet to initiate rainwater harvesting. And people in many other regions of the world continue to suffer from water deprivation.
At the moment, we are using resources that we have received from our ancestors, and it would be very selfish of us to use the resources of this planet as if we are the last generation.
We stand at a critical moment in the Earth's history, a time when humanity must choose its future course.
Today we share one planet, and I think everyone is aware that what happens in one country can affect the other. And we are so interdependent that we cannot behave as if we live in isolation.
Across the globe, 800 million people suffer from malnutrition, and 2.9 billion live without basic sanitation. More than 1 billion children are denied grade school education, and nearly half the people on Earth subsist on less than $2 a day. Meeting the basic needs for all people in developing countries would cost approximately $80 billion a year. While that money has not been found, the world's governments spend 10 times that amount per year on their militaries. As we enter the 21st century, the time has come to re-examine our priorities.
I think we have quite a lot of work to do, but it is not impossible. I think we have the means and the resources to do it. What we need is a will, and we need to all work in partnership.
Governments have a role to play, but even more important are people who have the courage to speak out and guide their governments.
My advice would be become engaged, get involved, and begin to pressure governments and policymakers to steer things in the right direction.
Like the women of Kenya's Greenbelt movement, the engaged citizens of Slovakia, and the rainwater harvesters in India, our voices and our actions can have a far-reaching effect.
Sometimes I tell myself, I may be only planting a tree here, but just imagine what's happening if there are billions of people out there doing something. Just imagine the power of what we can do.